All right, thank you for staying with us. And, after a very keenly contested election, some has called it controversial. Some had said, it's democracy at play. And in fact, some were very extreme with the use of with what went down, in Edo State. The nations had to beat three leading contenders, almost 16 or 17 candidates, by the way, fielded by different political parties for the top three. And yesterday, towards the evening, it was made official. Monday, Okpebholo of the All Progressives Congress, a sitting senator of the Federal Republic, has been declared the winner after gathering 291,667 to defeat his closest rival, Ighodalo of the PDP, 247,274, and Olumide Akpata, former Nigerian Bar Association president of the Labour Party, who polled 22,763. These are the figures read out, by the umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission. But trust us that we are fully on ground. And now we are being joined by our correspondent, our reporter, who covered the election, our own Olalekan Akindoju. Lekan, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very well. How has Edo State been for you? How's the weather like?
It's been neither here nor there.
Okay.
It's sometimes cold. It
Yeah.
rained at the point.
Yeah.
The other times, the weather was a bit harsh.
All right.
Well,
Very well.
Here.
It comes with a job. Now, let's get straight to the matter. You were on ground before the election, during the election, the collation, everything that went down to the announcement yesterday. What's your assessment of these 2024 Edo Guba election?
So, this election, before the poll, really, we had lots of predictions and fears. That's one thing I would like to talk about firstly, and that's because of the fact that it was on that premise that people did not really want to participate. They felt that there was going to be violence. It was going to be an election that would witness lots of disturbances and disruptions. But the election on Saturday was largely peaceful. It did not go the way we had predicted. Even those who used trends to look at what was going to happen during the election, they were also disappointed, I should say, with the way the election went. When it comes to security, it was as peaceful as we. Some people even said that it's the first time in a long time in Edo State that you will have an election without widespread violence, and that's one thing. But on the other hand, the other issues that this election really saw were about the preparedness of INEC. The decision of INEC to really not prepare well, because people would say, some would say it was a bit deliberate, because most of the issues INEC had during this particular election boiled down to logistics, and it's something that people expected INEC to have really handled better. So many places, they had late arrival of materials, even as at the time that election voting should have started at 8:30 in some rack, and that's the registration area centers. In those places, those are the places where materials are moved to the polling units, and in that particular, some of those places, you still find materials there at 9 a.m., at 9:30, at 10 a.m. Materials are not being moved to these polling units, and that led to late opening of polls in so many areas. There was even a particular place that particular polling unit is in Okpebholo local government. That particular place opened at about 1 p.m. That was when they started voting. So those are the issues. And of course, if we look at the turnout, the statistics is saying that about 25%. That's a little above the 24% that Edo State had in 2020. So if we look at the whole thing, so we can say that, of course, there were some positives and some a bit of negatives too during this poll.
All right, Lekon, I'd like to ask, the late arrival of materials favor any of the political parties? Was it deliberate by INEC to favor any of the political parties in what you have observed so far?
It's really difficult to say, but observers would say that, because I spoke to a couple of them, because we had to look at the trends. Why did this happen in this place? Why is it, and of course, some would say that INEC knew the amount of vehicles that we need to transport materials. So if you're saying it is as a result of logistics, then it means there's something at play. There's a reason. So that's what observers told me, when they looked at the trends. And you found a situation where they could not even, some had to use pickup trucks to take them to where they should conduct the election. So those are the issues. But for INEC, we cannot categorically say that it was as a result of a need to favor a particular candidate that was why a delay in transporting materials happened, or a delay in the opening of polls. But the fact is that when you delay opening of polls, you would have, on one hand, disenfranchised people. And the idea is that for some people, they say that if people do not come out to vote, then it gives an opportunity to manipulate the election. They say the less people, the lesser the people who have come out, then the easier for the process to be tampered with. So that's just what really happened on the day of election.
Okay, so I'd also like to ask, did you witness any form of vote buying during the election? Vote buying by different political parties, or voter intimidation by any of the political parties?
Vote buying was widespread, and it's a fact. All of the CSOs, all of the observer groups, that was one of the first issues they raised. That is at the middle of polling, because a number of them actually held press conferences. But beyond that, personally, was something I saw. And personally, of course, in interactions with those who collected, some confirmed that they got between 5,000 and 10,000 naira. And this did not happen with just one political party. And it was as if people came out to collect money so they could vote. It was widespread. It's like something, I don't want to say something we've not seen before, but because vote buying has been part of elections in Nigeria for a while now, and it's like it's worsening, it's getting worse. So that's the stage we found ourselves. It was all of the polling units that we visited, all of them, that particular incident happened. Right. People sold their votes and their votes were bought. With voter intimidation, it happened just in a pocket of places, just a few polling units. That was not really the focus, I think, of the politicians. It wasn't what they were really interested in. It was about getting the money down to the people so they could buy their votes. And like I said, it was widespread.
Yeah, and it's really disturbing. But, some would say maybe it's now part of us, which sadly it should not be. That's a rather unfortunate, because that is not part of democracy. But this is the reality. He said it was widespread, it was brazenly done, It was public. Now, where were the security operatives when that was going on? Because we've had elections here in Osho and other elections as well, in which you see some men in uniform, men of the EFCC, ICPC, standing around making sure, they apprehend people who are doing that. Were they present or were they conspicuously missing? The Nigeria police, all of them, where were they where all these things was being done?
The Nigeria Police Force is actually the primary security agency that is in charge of.
All right, we'll try and reconnect with Lekon there. Somebody, an average mind, respectfully speaking, would say, what is it? We know this was going to happen. This is now part of our elections, but constitutionally, morally, it's not supposed to be. But this is where we have found ourselves right now, because some we are due to many reasons, but it doesn't justify that this is what is being done, less about the violence. That's what Lekon saying. Maybe the focus of the politicians is not about ballot snatching again, because any ballot that's been snatched is as useless as anything. Once the result has been declared and uploaded, people can see. So you can snatch the ballot on the way to the collation center and say you want to change that. That doesn't happen again. So the focus now is about the inducement rather, of voters, their minds towards making a particular decision. One thing I'd like to ask him again is the drama that we learned played out Saturday night, Sunday, where the governor, Governor Obaseki, is now an outgoing governor, by the way, because we have a governor-elect already. Just a few months, I know, then we'll be done with himself. All right. Talking about the governor, we learned he was at the INEC headquarters to see the rec. He was ejected at some point. But then the governor spoke on the matter. Let's allow you to have a hang of what he said. Governor Obaseki.
My dear good people of Edo State, in the last few months, the various political parties have embarked on very rigorous campaigns to sell their respective candidates for the office of governor to the people of Edo State, in an exercise which came to a climax yesterday. The attractive thing about democracy is the power it bestows on the people to choose who governs them. Therefore, when this power is blatantly seized from the people, it is not just a tragedy, but a travesty of democracy. Regrettably, the outcome of the September 21st governorship election appears to have daunted the spirit of many Edo people who feel powerless in the face of the brute force of the institutions that are supposed to protect them. It is therefore understandable that many people feel sad and aggrieved. But in the midst of this despair, I'm urging all my fellow Edo citizens to maintain calm and not resort to violence and the destruction of property in spite of this provocation. Peace and justice will always win at the end, and this is my prescription to all the good people of Edo State who feel vexed and violated at this time. Clearly, it is obvious to the least discerning the amount of impunity and reckless disregard for processes and law that was displayed in this gubernatorial election. In a democracy, there are always safeguards for addressing grievances, and we hope that all those affected will seek resolution for this blatant disregard of law and process. With this in mind, I implore all Edo people to go about their lawful businesses and rest assured of the commitment of our government to your well-being and security. God bless the people of Edo State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The governor there, Governor Obaseki, telling people to be calm. There are ways to channel your grievances and your concerns. About the Edo election and everything that went down, the conversation is an ongoing one, and then before the end of the program, we'll get back to you. But right now, we'll take this quick break, and we'll switch gears when we return. It's the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. where we have the very deep and very frank conversation. Stay with us.